What's going on, DGen Nation? Back with another video. About to hop into another BBM4 draft. This is going to be my 86th draft of the offseason. Draft just filled. We're going to be picking out of the three spot today. Just quickly before the draft gets started, if you wanted to sign up for Underdog, please use my promo code LarryBird617. That'll get you a deposit match up to $100 if you wanted to get going. If you've never done one of these best ball drafts and you wanted to hop in one, put in up to 100. Underdog will match up to 100. So you'd get, if you put in 100, you have 200 in your account. And you could do 8 best ball Mania drafts. They have some smaller drafts that will probably be coming out later in the summer. I'm not sponsored by Underdog, but when I signed up, I used the deposit match promo code and helped me out a lot, helped me get my feet wet in best ball. So if that's something you want to do, again, Larry Bird 617 is my promo code. See how the draft starts out. Looks like this team could be auto picking. I think they did auto pick right there. They picked Justin Jefferson. Few badges in the draft, but all towards the top of the board too, for the most part. Is this team auto drafting? Can we have back-to-back auto drafters picking behind me? That would kind of might be good, might suck for me. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of these teams with the badges, they already put their rankings in, so they're more so drafting off of their rankings when they auto pick than they are just kind of letting the computer pick for them. Yeah, Cup to me is the pick here. I'm going Cup over CMC pretty much every single time. My CMC shares are pretty low. I think I have like 5-6%. Not that I dislike McCaffrey, but I just love the running backs in the late second, early third. I feel like you can still get an RB1. And I think Cooper Kupp has as high of a ceiling as anybody, any player at any position in this draft. So I think he gets back on track in a big way. Pretty standard start here so far, though. JJ, Chase, Kupp, CMC, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. This is where we see that run on receivers coming up. Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown. Eckler goes there at 7. Eckler's he's a weird guy this year. It's either kind of gets picked in that range, that 7-8 range, or falls to the second round sometimes. It's just like people either love him or they're scared off by him for some reason. I don't know why you would be. He's just, finished top 3 the last 2 seasons. I believe he finished first last year. The guy's just been a monster and so consistent. Just the way he catches the ball and with volume, scores touchdowns. So he doesn't scare me, but I would probably rather have a receiver in that range, so I can understand it. But he could make everybody pay again. Everybody that passed on him for receivers, he could, be in that RB1 conversation again. So after Eckler at 7, AJ Brown, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb. The team at 11 goes Barkley, which is interesting. I've actually been seeing Barkley slip into the 20s, late teens, early 20s lately. So that's an interesting one there at 11. Team at the turn goes Bijan, Garrett Wilson. And then Devontae Adams goes to the team that took Barkley. St. Brown goes to the CeeDee Lamb drafter to get that Dallas Detroit stack built in nice and early. Nick Chubb, who's somebody I have very little of, just doesn't fall into a range where I can grab him very often. Jalen Waddle to the AJ Brown team. That's a nice start. Tony Pollard goes there at 18. I feel like he's going to get steamed up as the offseason goes on. Once people realize that Dallas isn't signing anybody, they're just going to go into the season with Pollard as their RB1, their workhorse back. He's going to get steamed up into this high teen range. I foresee that coming for sure. So Pollard went, then JT to the team with Kelsey. That's a really nice combo to start too. I like doing that. That team a lot of times that picks Kelsey in that 6, 7, 8 range. They're targeting Mahomes a lot of the time, and I just feel like you could get a little bit different. Take somebody else, another, an anchor player at a different position, and see if, maybe Mahomes swings back to you, try and scoop up the value. Normally he doesn't, but as we see him go right there, right before my pick. So my first pick was Cup. I have some Cup Devonta starts. Let me go Cup Higgins. I don't have any of that combination of two players together. In a vacuum, I probably prefer Devonta Smith, but cool getting a little different there and grabbing Higgins. I don't have much Joe Burrow either. So I mean, it's tough picking there near the Jamar Chase owner. Like if it swings back, if I don't snag Burrow at 46, it's probably not going to be there most likely. With this team taking Chase here, probably targeting him right there at 47 or at 50. So they have two chances before I do to get him. So if I did like Burrows and he was there at 46, he's definitely an option. Trying to get a little bit more of him. But as of now, that's my first Cooper Kupp T Higgins start. So I want to get different combinations of players. I don't pick out of the 3 spot very often. I will say that. No, I don't have a ton of Ridley either. I was thinking Josh Allen there, and I think Josh Allen would be a great pick at 27. Let's see where his ADP is, Josh Allen. Yeah, so it's right at ADP. Could have went Allen there. I'm gonna try and I want to get more exposed to Joe Burrow, and I want to get more exposed to Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence just goes in a ridiculous range, in my opinion. He's such an excellent value if you're getting him in the 70s. And I'm actually very low exposed to him. I think because a lot of the times I skip over Ridley. And if I miss Ridley, I miss Kirk, and I miss Travis Etienne, I'm much less inclined to go Lawrence. I'm not typically someone taking a quarterback unstacked. So I pass on him a lot of times when maybe I shouldn't, but see if I can get maybe Christian Kirk on the wrap back around and then really heavily target Trevor Lawrence later on. So you see the team there at the 6 spot. What a start by them, though. Josh Allen falls a bit past ADP. So they start Travis Kelce, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Allen. I mean, you're talking about getting an elite onesie at every position. They're going to be struggling at receiver. They're going to have to go probably 5 or 6 straight rounds of receiver. But for a team not going receiver, that's as good of a start as you're going to see. That's really a dangerous combo right there that they've got. Each one of those guys could easily finish at number 1 in their position. Nobody would be shocked. So ETN goes a little bit early there. 35. I believe his ADP dipped into the 40s. Yeah, his ADP is 40 and a half. So went slightly ahead of ADP. I was hoping maybe he would have a little ADP dip where I could scoop him up there at 46, but that's okay. And I also I went a little ahead of ADP on Ridley, but he would not be there on the way back around. I'm almost certain of that. So I only have a few shares of Ridley so far, only a few shares of Lawrence. And Christian Kirk is somebody I haven't been getting too much either. So see how this plays out. Burrow is an option. Lawrence is an option. Not really, it's still very early. There's a lot of ways I can go. I'm not getting completely locked in on one particular stack as of now. So just a breakdown after I went Ridley 27, Mark Andrews goes 28. He is climbing up the board little by little as the days pass. I remember getting him in the 5th round a couple of times in the big board prior to the draft. So he's a riser. Josh Jacobs 29, Josh Allen 30. Then after Josh Allen, DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel, Breece Hall, Amari Cooper, Travis Etienne. The team out of the 12 spot at the turn goes Jahmyr Gibbs, Najee Harris. So 3 of their first 4 picks are running backs. Not something I'm a fan of. Kenneth Walker, Christian Watson, Lamar Jackson. And the last 3 picks, 41, Keenan Allen, Jerry Jeudy, 42, DJ Moore, 43. So let's take a peek. Christian Kirk, 49. I don't have hardly any Joe Mixon either. Thinking Burrow here, but let me go Kirk because I think there's a chance he doesn't make it to my next pick. It would be slightly after ADP. I'm going a little crazy here with the 4 receivers. I mean, not to some people. To some people, this is a normal draft, but when comparing Burrow to Lawrence, if Lawrence can make that leap going 22 picks later than Joe Burrow, if they could be in a close range, I'd rather have the positional player there and take Lawrence at 66 or around 66. Let's see what my see, that's the tricky part, is that my next pick is 70. So does he make it back to me? Maybe not. Maybe not. All right, so they went Mixon. Yeah, I'm gonna go Burrow here. I have very little Burrow. Correlates with Higgins. I can maybe grab a couple Chiefs players later for a week 17 stack. And if Lawrence is there, I'm happy to take him too. Be done at quarterback. Strong receiving core. Probably leaning towards a 0 RB. Well, definitely at this point, 5 rounds in without a running back. So for sure leaning 0 RB. So I went Christian Kirk, 46. And then Hopkins, 47. Drake London, Terry McLaurin to the team at the turn. Picking out of the 1 spot. Joe Mixon, 50. Joe Burrow, 51, which is like, I think, sensational value for Joe Burrow. He missed the game and he put up like 380 points out of the quarterback spot. So he was right up there with Mahomes, Allen, Hurts. He was right in that ballpark as far as overall points. Had he finished the Bills Bengals game week 17, he would have been over 400. I'm almost certain of that. He only needed like 17, 18 points to put him over that threshold. So I think for sure he would have been a 400-point guy. And I think he's a phenomenal value in the 5th round. As I do this breakdown in my head, and as much as I say Burrow is a great value, I'm super low on Burrow shares. So I think that's just the way the draft has shaken out for me. I haven't picked out of the 3, 4, 5, 6 spot very often, which is where you're most likely to get a guy like Burrow with the way the draft falls, unless you want to reach on him in ADP. So happy to get him here. This is my 86 draft. I'm looking at about 105 to 110 maybe. I know for sure I'm not maxing it. Maxing this tournament, I did max the big board already, which was about $1,500. So you're talking about another 100 BBM drafts. That's $2,500. So you really have to have a nice bankroll put aside, and you got to be all in to want to do 150 BBMs. I'd love to, but just it doesn't make sense for everybody. I put in 100 entries last year. I won 10K. I finished 30th overall in BBM. So I don't think you need 150. I don't think you don't need to max, you don't need to go 150 if it doesn't make sense for you and your bankroll. So something to consider, something to keep in mind. Even whatever makes sense for you, 25, 50 drafts. If you're not going to get it maybe as balanced of a portfolio if you have some heavy leans on guys, but I think if you had 25 really well-structured teams, you avoided any training camp injuries, any serious training camp injuries, which is always a scare. It's always a concern drafting this early. Then you'd be fine. I think an experienced drafter always gives himself a chance. So I'm on deck here. I'll give a breakdown of these picks in a minute. See what makes sense. I think Lawrence is still there. Nope, he's not. I must have missed him. Where did he go? So he went at 63. I think Swift is a perfect he's a perfect 0 RB pick, in my opinion. So I'll go Swift there. Pitts was definitely an option. See if I can grab Pacheco on the way back around, or Tony. Not my favorite guys, honestly, but throw a few other guys in the queue that I'm going to be looking at. As far as Cincinnati goes, Irv Smith, Tyler Boyd. Checo's a guy that really just worries me for some reason. I don't know. I'll go Tony. I'll go Kadarius Tony. Don't have a ton of shares of Tony. Matt maybe like 5% Tony. I probably needed the running back more, but there's something about Pacheco. I think he runs hard. I think he overperformed last season. He played very well. There's no doubt about it. I know he did have off-season surgery. I don't think he's back 100% yet. So I think he could slip the closer we get to camp if he's out. And I'd much prefer to get him in like the 90s than I would here at 75. I think Tony does have a high ceiling. And as my wide receiver 5, that risk is baked in. If he sucks all year, no harm done. It's not the end of the world. He's my wide receiver 5. I'm not relying on him in any sort of a significant way. It's not no draft capital. It's 7th round pick is still, it's pretty high, but I think for his potential that he's flashed on occasion, I think that's a fine range to grab him. So further builds in some correlation for me. I would have liked to get Lawrence there, but that's okay. Not that I love to do this, but I could still build in a Jacksonville stack without Lawrence. But again, not my favorite thing to do. I think that might be the game I have the least of, is that Jacksonville Week 17 matchup. That Jacksonville Carolina game, I'm very light on that. So I'll try and grab a few more shares of that as the offseason goes on. So I'll just break it down real quick. I went Swift at 70 overall. Then at 71, Tyler Lockett. At the turn, the team Out of the one spot goes Kyle Pitts, Dallas Goedert. So getting kind of a modified bully tight end strategy there. They also grabbed Drake London, so maybe they're looking to grab Desmond Ridder at the end of the draft. 74, Mike Evans. That's sensational value for Mike Evans. If he was there, I would have taken him over Tony, regardless of correlation. It's such a, I think he smashes at a 7th round ADP or 7th round value. I think his ADP is in the high 60s, but taking Mike Evans all day in the 7th. He has so many just incentives to get that 11th, I believe, 1,000-yard season to tie Jerry Rice. He's going to be going all out for that. And I think the team, even if they suck, they'll stay out there just for the record. That's the kind of thing that he has that season. He's in the Hall of Fame. I think he already has it sewed up, but I think that's a guarantee first ballot Hall of Fame if you get 11 straight 1,000-yard seasons, regardless of how you got them. So love that Evans pick. I went Tony 75, then George Pickens 76, Jahan Dotson, James Conner, Rashad White, Quentin Johnston, Gabe Davis, Darren Waller, Dalvin Cook. Team at the turn goes Elijah Moore, Michael Thomas, 84, 85. So Evan Ingram goes there. He was someone I would have been considering as my tight end 1 coming back around. Could have still built out that Jacksonville stack a little bit, but that's okay. David Montgomery, Deshaun Watson, Javonte Williams. Tua goes 90. I'm 3 picks away, 2 picks away. Oh, Pacheco slipped. He slipped big time. That would have been really nice to get him on the wrap back around. What makes sense here? We need a running back. And we need a tight end. It's a pretty gross range for all those guys. I'm going to try and grab someone here and then snag Tyler Boyd on the swing back around. I don't know what makes sense here. I'll go James Cook. I don't know. It's an ugly range right here. Like there's a bit of a tier break after Kamara. I like all those guys after him, but don't love any of them. So I wanted to get one of the running backs here in this range. And obviously I say tier break after Kamara. If he has like a 12-game suspension or something, he's obviously not great value there. You're not really worried about him early in the season, but the longer the suspension, the more his value should slip. So I'm assuming, I'm just going off the history of suspensions in the NFL. I want to say he gets 4, 6, maybe 8 games tops. So if that's what he gets, he plays the whole second half of the season, he's fine. And I think there is a tier break there. Still a lot to be decided with P. Ryan and Javonte. So what makes sense here? Since I already have 5 receivers, does a tight end here make more sense? Does Boyd, who is not much more than a wide receiver 3/4? I'll go Boyd, I guess. Pretty close to done at receiver. I really liked AJ Dillon there too. I think that should have maybe been the pick. But I mean, him and Boyd scored pretty similarly. I think there's running backs later in the draft that I could target that might have some upside, like a Damian Harris. You grab him and Cook and see, maybe Buffalo rides the hot hand. There's a lot of guys later on I could grab. So cool getting the 2 I have. I like them both a lot. I think James Cook has a lot of second half upside, or second year upside, I should say. Very good pass catcher. Maybe takes a leap next year. So I really like this team so far. I'm going to be lacking at tight end though. Herb Smith is certainly a target, but he goes much later. So I went James Cook 94. After James Cook, Zay Flowers 95, Jamison Williams 96, and Kirk Cousins 97 to the team at the 1 spot. After Kirk Cousins, Zach Charbonnet, I went Boyd at 99, Anthony Richardson right at ADP at 100, Kamara, Sutton, Prescott, Antonio Gibson, David Njoku. Hopefully Pat Freiermuth makes it on the wrap back around. He was there. I like him a lot for this range of tight ends. I think there's a considerable drop off from Freiermuth to the next tight end on the list. In ADP feels the same way. You're talking about 107 to 127, a 20 pick gap between Chigo Kongwu and Freiermuth. So Sky Moore is an option with the KC Cincinnati build. She Rice, Jerick McKinnon, always an option for that build. And obviously AJ Dillon. Dillon's somebody I wanted last round, so if he made it back around to me, that would be sensational. Let's see. Nah, he's not making it. Nine picks away. I don't see any scenario where Dillon makes it, but wow, Bryce Young there going at 109. Let's take a look. It's Sam Howell 108. My goodness. Why though? I don't even understand that. Just two completely unstacked quarterbacks who go several rounds later, back to back at the turn there. Yikes. Thank you for the donation. Michael Thomas a little ahead of ADP also. Madison, who I don't love. Hey, I mean, at least they took him in the 60s. See him going in the 50s a lot now. I mean, not horrible. Like, I think they went 3 out of the first 4 picks of running backs. I don't like that. I like the running backs he got, but I just don't like that build. And then he falls up with a 4th running back out of his first 5 picks. Oh my God. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 out of his first 6 picks are running backs. And then he takes 2 unstacked quarterbacks well ahead of ADP. Kind of a head scratching move there. So Freiermuth goes and AJ Dillon goes, which is fantastic for me. Just what I wanted. And Sky Moore's at the top of the board, so I could see him getting sniped right here. This team only got 4 receivers so far. They got 2 quarterbacks. I could definitely see them going receiver. Yep, of course. So I get sniped there on Sky Moore. The best player on the board to me is Harris. So I will go Harris. I think there's a genuine chance that Harris has a few monster spike weeks, similar to what he did on New England a couple years ago. He scored 15 touchdowns. The Bills are even more high-powered offense, obviously, than the Patriots were with Mac Jones as a rookie. So if he could rip off 15 touchdowns in the Pats offense, I think he could do something similar on the Bills if he's used around the goal line, 10, 12 touchdowns, if he could stay healthy. So great landing spot for him. Somebody was saying, I heard some rumors that he's battling with Latavius Murray for the number 2 spot. And it seems like Latavius Murray this guy will not go away. He just won't die. But I don't fully believe that. I think a healthy Harris is a much better player. So I actually wouldn't mind Zay Jones here, but he would be almost insurance for Kirk and Ridley. If one of them went down, he could be a monster again, but I'm going to go with Jerick McKinnon. Not that I love McKinnon, but he definitely ties in with the build. So I'm getting some of the Cincinnati KC Week 17 pieces. I got Tony and McKinnon on KC, and I got Boyd, Higgins, and Burrow for Cincinnati. So, obviously you'd like to have Jamar Chase, but wasn't in the cards here today. And with almost all my Cooper Kupp builds, I've gone with Stafford. So I don't know if that's minus EV to continue to grab Stafford. I feel like every Kupp team is going to have Stafford for the most part, but he is kicking around late. Somebody I could just throw in the queue and see how the draft shakes out. Back to the board here. Sorry. So 118, Damian Harris. The wrap back around, I went McKinnon 123. This is the definition of a 0 RB team. I pushed it about as far as you want to push it. I took my first running back at 70 overall, DeAndre Swift. You could, technically wait till maybe the 8th. I think the 9th would be the absolute limit to a 0 RB team. If my first running back was like James Cook, I wouldn't feel great about it. It'd be okay. If you hit on, a rookie like a Kendre Miller or somebody like that late, a Devin A-Chain, say he got an opportunity and ran with it, somebody like that, that's what you're going to have to do on a 0 RB team. You're going to have to take somebody young with upside who is just waiting for an injury to have a breakout. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble going up against a team with, that starts CMC, Jonathan Taylor, and they nailed their middle round picks. You're going to be in trouble against one of those teams. So this team, it's not a team that'll get thrown out either, because they're not ridiculous ADP reaches, but it's a ridiculous build. I don't know if they're auto drafting. I don't think they are. But their last 4 picks, they went quarterback. They went Sam Howell, Bryce Young, both unstacked, I believe. Let me just check again. Okay, no, not completely unstacked. So they had Miles Sanders with Bryce Young. They took Sam Howell unstacked with no week 17 correlation because they play San Fran. He took Stafford unstacked, and he's got Michael Thomas, so with Derek Carr. But 4 straight quarterbacks after starting 5 out of his first 6 picks at running back. That team, I'm going to call it right now, is dead in the water. That's a donation team if I've ever seen one. So congratulations, T-Spills. You just donated to the pot, buddy. They're going to take note of this. I wanted Stafford. I would like Stafford to make it back to me. That's not why I'm roasting this guy's team. Like I'll just pivot and take somebody else, but The quarterbacks are flying. The quarterback, that's why I'm even happier I took Burrow. But it's getting ugly at quarterback. So one of my favorite picks in the draft is still there. I might try and make a move here to set up taking Kyler Murray. Still don't have a tight end, but I'm okay with that. I might go with like a Higbee. Oh no, Irv Smith. I'll throw Higbee in the queue too, but Irv Smith's going to be a target here. Tank Bigsby, I like. Aaron Rodgers too. That guy had Garrett Wilson, and he went Stafford over Aaron Rodgers with Garrett Wilson on his roster. What a fucking bonehead! Holy shit! Some of these people, I don't get it. All right, so I'm gonna go Rashee Rice right here. Fits perfectly with the KC Cincinnati Week 17 matchup. That guy finally mercifully takes Aaron Rodgers, probably unstacked, I'm guessing. I mean, I was thinking about it too, but the only real options are like McCole Hardman and Tyler Conklin. Just not something I want to do right now. I like Rodgers at that ADP. I think that's Hurts and Rodgers. Rodgers 20 picks after ADP. It's a nice quarterback room for sure. And I'm fine if maybe Irv Smith gets sniped here. I'll go Higbee. Hoping one of these two will make it to me. The team right behind me there, or right in front of me, I should say. They don't have a tight end yet, so got a feeling they're going tight end here. But this team's got 3 tight ends already too. This is a weird draft, man. It's early morning. I think I started this draft at like 5:30 a.m. So that probably tells you all you need to know. Oh, God damn it. That guy goes with a 4th tight end. This is the weirdest draft. I think he's auto picking though. So not as much blame on that guy as there is at the guy at the turn. All right, he goes Higbee. Perfect. Can't feel good about Irv Smith as your number 1, but it is what it is. And fingers crossed here, Kyler Murray comes back around. I'm fine taking him on stack too. I'm totally fine taking him unstacked. I think his ADP is ridiculous, but the quarterbacks are just flying off the board here. So Jordan Love goes, yep, and then Kyler goes. I probably should just went Kyler because I hate Irv Smith, honestly. He fits my build. He fits the correlation. I didn't have a tight end, but so many of these teams already with 2 quarterbacks in the 13th round. This guy got 4 quarterbacks. Like, I don't know, make it make sense. What's the move? I'm done at wide receiver for sure. This is going to be a 3 tight end build. And I think I have to just go like whatever my favorite quarterback is on the wrap back around because it's literally we're running out of starters here. I think Mac Jones makes the most sense because of how many of his weapons I can get late. So Mac attack might be in the cards here. We'll see. Like if I'm getting 2 tight ends, I'm fine actually going with both New England tight ends. I think they serve different roles. Not normally someone, I'm not normally someone who goes 2 tight ends on the same team. Depends really on the situation. There's not many teams in football that have two serviceable, usable fantasy tight ends on the same roster. So not always my favorite thing to do, but I could grab Gesicki, get Hunter Henry in the one of the last two rounds. I could grab Pierre Strong and build out a little late New England stack. Just an absolutely wild draft with the way the teams are drafting quarterbacks, with some teams like this team right here. They get 8 receivers already. They're at a 2-2-8-1 build. The team right behind me. So see what makes sense here. So I got 5 picks remaining. I guess MVS is an option. I said I was done at receiver, but whatever. I don't know. Everyone's zigging, so I might as well zag. Mac Jones, I can hopefully get my next pick, but who the hell knows in this draft? Jesus. Yeah, I'm gonna pivot here. I could go MVS. I think I built out enough of that Cincinnati KC stack. I'm happy with that. So I'll go Taekwon. I'll grab Mac with my next pick. It's ahead of ADP. It's pretty gross, but I don't feel great about stopping at 4 with this running back core. Like this should be a 6 running back team, but so Irv Smith 147. Then my next pick wrap it at 166 when I wrapped back around was Tyquan Thornton. Jerome Ford, MVS goes right there, the team out of the 1 spot. And I'm 2 picks away here. Let's see. Oh man, taking an not unstacked, but taking a Mac Jones ahead of ADP just feels gross. If they picked up like DeAndre Hopkins or I don't know, just another weapon. Obviously, there's not many weapons available out there at this point of the offseason, unless it was via trade. And I think the trade market's already pretty much closed until the season starts. So if they picked up Hopkins, I'd feel much better about getting a late Mac Jones in this type of scenario. But if not, it doesn't feel like the sexiest pick, honestly. Just trying to think what my other options would be. Do I just go Gesicki and try and push it for Mac? But then if Mac goes, it's like, yeah, I can grab Henry later. Let's grab Mac right here. At least I know I'll have 2 starters on my friggin' team. This is like some teams that are auto picking, they'll probably continue to take quarterbacks if they're at the top of ADP, and a lot of rogue drafters in here. So I'd rather just solidify that. I could get Henry, I could get Devontae Parker, Kendrick Bourne, bunch of New England options later. So they're one of my favorite late stacks for sure. Aside from Ramondre and well, I think Ramondre is the only Patriot that goes in the first 10 rounds at this point. Juju's ADP has slipped into the hundreds. So aside from Ramondre and Juju, you can get all of them past like round 12. I like again, I always feel like I end up with a good team. This is draft 86. I have probably 5 or 6 teams that I think are just complete shit. One I fell asleep in, I auto drafted It took 4 quarterbacks for me, 4 quarterbacks, 1 tight end. So don't fall asleep if you're entering a draft. If you're tired, just leave it off till the next day. That's what I wish I did. It's not a bad team, but they drafted me 4 elite quarterbacks, and it's just, 4 elite quarterbacks and 1 tight end, who I believe was Dalton Kincaid, like a little bit past ADP, but still, like I'm relying on Dalton Kincaid week in, week out to be a top 12 tight end. And if he gets hurt, that's a 0 every week. So if you're gonna set up your queue, make sure you set your positional limits. And I believe Underdog, I think they make you draft at least one player at each position. So they will draft you a quarterback, but I saw like some team had auto drafted and they had a pretty good team, but they didn't have a quarterback through 17 rounds, and they took it auto drafted them Trey Lance. He wasn't at the top of the board, but he was the highest quarterback in ADP. So they took Lance for the team, and it's like, that's that it was a decent team, but Lance might not start, and then you're taking a 0 quarterback every single week. You have 0 chance. Even a couple of teams I drafted last year, I tried one strategy where I went 1 quarterback, 1 tight end. And I think it was like Kirk Cousins, and my tight end was, I want to say like Hawkinson maybe, or something like that. And it actually, like, the team advanced. It made the fantasy playoffs, and I think it advanced 1 round. But when you get to those championship rounds, it's like the teams are so well built and so sharp that I didn't really stand a chance. You need a little diversity at each position. Unless Kirk Cousins got me like a 40 spot and Hawkinson did the same, I was pretty much dead in the water. So Gesicki went, but that's cool. I'm gonna grab Hunter Henry. This is a good spot to grab a running back I like. So I think what makes the most sense here for this build is Chase Brown. I really like Chase Brown. I really think he's going to have a good opportunity to step in and have a big role. I don't think Mixon's the player he once was. I think the age and the whispers are starting to catch up to him. I'll take Brown here. I could go Brown, and I could go either Pierre Strong or Hunter Henry. I'd prefer Hunter Henry, and maybe hope that Pierre Strong makes it to me in the last round. You're not the greatest running back core, but that's what happens when you take 4 receivers to start the draft. You got to really nail those late round running backs. You never know where the draft is going to take you. These drafts get wild. Like, I'd never envisioned myself drafting this particular team, but each draft is unique. That's why I said, like, I have Cup. I don't have Cup and Higgins together. That's not a combo I have at all. So you start there, get kind of unique at the beginning, and then just branch out from there. As long as you can get some stacks. My team that went to the BBM finals, that finished 30th, I had pretty much unstacked Mahomes. The only player I had with Mahomes was Jerick McKinnon, and Jerick McKinnon crushed. He crushed during the regular season. He slowed down a bit, but then in the playoffs, I think 2 out of the 3 weeks he caught a touchdown. So he was going off. All right, definitely Hunter Henry here. I don't want to get sniped on him. Yes, it's past ADP. I could go Devontae Parker. I think he'd be perfect for this Mac Jones build, but I have 8 receivers. I love the receiving core, so it makes way more sense. Get my second tight end. This becomes a very tough decision because I think this is a prime candidate for a 3 tight end team, but I also think it's a prime candidate for a 6 RB team. I'm looking at James Cook and Damian Harris both have a week 13 bye. So I'm going into week 13 with Swift, McKinnon, Chase Brown. Ugly. Could get very ugly. Actually, CEH is a sleeper that I might go Hilaire. Hope that Hunter Henry bounces back. Hope that Irv Smith, all the hype in training camp or mini camp so far has been real. Maybe he could put in a healthy season. He's a very athletic guy. I got two good pieces I like on the New England offense. So I think that's enough to go with Mac there just to get me through some weeks. Pierre Strong, I don't think he's taken a full grasp on the number 2 job yet. I know Kevin Harris is there. Bill likes to mix in different guys. Ty Montgomery's there. Ty Montgomery would be another option too. We'll see. But not to talk down on Pierre Strong. I think he has a chance to be excellent. I think he has a chance to be maybe 60-70% of what Damian Harris was a couple years ago. I think it's going to be much more of a 75-25, 70-30 type of a backfield next year. Bill Belichick saw that Ramondre had too much on his plate. Playing every snap, third down, catching the ball. He had so many touches. So I think he has more high leverage touches, but I think Pierre Strong or whoever the RB2 is will mix in along with Ty Montgomery as the pass catching down back. Now he's back healthy. So I think there's a role for sure for an RB2 in New England. Clyde also, he has a lot to prove. They didn't pick up his contract. He also fits in with the KC Cincinnati week 17. But if the age catches up to him, it could be a prime spot for Clyde to step up. Could be an absolutely prime spot. I think the declining the option sent a clear message that we're not happy with your play. You're often injured, but I think the talent is still there. Yes, he was on an absolutely loaded team at LSU, and I think that led to a lot of his success, but he's on a loaded team with KC. Is he maybe not the best scheme fit? It's possible, but I'm willing to take a shot on him. But after all that talk, he goes right there. So do I go Pierre Strong? Do I go with maybe Devontae Parker? Do I go with the third tight end? I'll go Pierre Strong on this team. I think it makes more sense going with the 6th running back. Give me another body there. I think he'll be getting some playing time. I think he'll be getting some valuable touches around the goal line. Correlates with the New England bet. So I didn't go to the board much there. I apologize. Those last couple of rounds. I usually leave the board up, but I was trying to just give the breakdowns and thoughts behind my picks. So just a quick breakdown of my last 4 rounds. I went Mac Jones 171. That was about 20 picks ahead of ADP, but in this crazy ass room, that made sense to me. And we see after I went Mac 171, Brock Purdy goes 175, Kenny Pickett 176. The quarterbacks were flying. Baker Mayfield right there. It took me out of the draft. Baker Mayfield usually doesn't do that. Baker Mayfield 188. So pretty much every starting quarterback was off the board by round 16. Aside from like CJ Stroud. Literally every starting quarterback was pretty much off the board. So I felt fine about the Mac Jones selection. My instinct said to take him there. He had the most pieces to pair with later on too, so cool with Mac. Chase Brown 190 to tie in with KC Cincinnati. Hunter Henry 195 with the ties in with the New England bet, and then Pierre Strong again. So I was able to get 4 of the New England pieces late. Nothing else really fell to me as far as correlation, but I have a New England stack, and then I was able to get a Week 17 game stack with Cincinnati KC. So not my favorite team. Definitely weak at tight end, strong at receiver. That's what's going to carry me if I'm able to make the playoffs. Went 0 RB pretty much. So Swift as my RB1. We all know how much of an up and down player he is in terms of injury, in terms of what kind of headspace he's in. So it's a 2-6-8-2, which is a pretty classic build. Burrow and Mac Jones at quarterback, running back DeAndre Swift, James Cook, Damian Harris, Jerick McKinnon, Chase Brown, Pierre Strong. Wide receivers, Cooper Kupp, T. Higgins, Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Kadarius Toney, Tyler Boyd, Rashee Rice, Tyquan Thornton. Tight end, Irv Smith, Hunter Henry. So, definitely diversified more my portfolio a little bit, got some unique combos, got a little more Burrow, which I wanted, 7 picks after ADP. So pretty happy with that. That's going to wrap up today's video. If you guys like the video, drop me a like, drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. What can I do better? What would you like to see going forward? And definitely hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be coming out with more content the rest of the off season. So it's something to look forward to. Appreciate all you guys. I will talk to you soon. DJ Nation out.